Hey, everybody. Welcome to SEO Unmasked, episode number 65. Today is March 28th, 2019. Glad to have you with us. I'm Garrett Groff.
I'm the Deletto.
Steve Brownlee.
Oh, hang on one second. I'm going to mute my feed here. Cool. What's up, guys?
Not much. Tired.
Yeah, it's been one of those months, unfortunately, I think, for everyone. So
yeah, we had a crazy last week with our restaurant build out, and we went through all the negotiations with the contractors and vendors, and it was a no sleep week for me, but everything worked out. So looks like they're gonna start build out next week, and I can just focus on getting back to SEO.
when's the grand opening date then? Is it going to be the original
We're still on track. I think it's actually going to be the same weekend as MN Search, so I don't know if I'll be making that one, but it's looking like a 6-week build out, so we'll be done with the construction by mid-May. Then we just got to do our hiring and get the food stocked in the fridges, and we can open our doors.
If you give them 10 free links, he'll give you 2 free meals. And he doesn't want hack links though. You have to give him real links.
Yeah, I don't deal with any of those shit links, even though they appear to be working for many people.
Yeah, they're temporarily working from what I can tell, but I won't spoil my study. I'm now a massive 8% through my list, so
yeah,
it's taken quite a while to do the analysis. But
well, good content takes a lot of time to put together.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what to do with it when I finish, because it's just going to show that loads of people did really well off the bat, and then they got penalized in really quite heavily in the September update.
Yeah.
So it looks like, I guess it makes sense. It's one of those things that's hard to algorithmically detect just automatically all the time. There'd be a lot of false positives, but they can roll out updates that catch a whole load at once, kind of like PBNs back in the old days when Matt Cutts used to tweet out when a whole load went down. It looks like the same kind of thing went down here, and a whole bunch of hack links. I'm using hack links just to mean links where the webmaster didn't know the link was going on their site. So they're not necessarily hacked in the traditional sense. This can be unscrupulous former SEO agencies, dodgy hosting companies, all the usual sources that Garrett's gone over with you guys 100 times. But I'm just using hacked to mean the webmaster has no idea the link's being put on his site without his permission or her permission. So they're the ones I'm looking to see what impact they have over the long term and what's going on with. So 8% through my study at that rate. Around about March 2021, we'll be coming back to you guys with some sick analysis.
Sick, man. I love me a good case study.
For sure.
Anything else going on with you guys? Just working your asses off, pretty much.
Yeah. Our infographic, our animated infographic design products, kind of sold off the shelf. That's why we haven't really updated the Builder Society thread in a while, because we've sold so many of them. We've a couple of contractors ended up leaving in the middle of the project because of the pressure, and it's been really rough. I mean, I've been up late at night, to catch people at different time zones that are working on it. It's been an amazingly successful product launch, but and they look beautiful when they're done. But I'm glad that we're kind of getting a core team together now, and the problem people have left. So next month's going to be much easier, and we can give it a proper push and take some new orders from Builder Society folks at some juicy Builder Society discounts. If you remember there, if you're not, jump on over to Builder Society.
That's a problem we run into.
Not this month, we're not doing the discount.
That's a problem we run into also when we build, like a private team for one of our clients. There's always like this initial onboarding phase where we're kind of just burning through contractors and vendors, a lot until we settle in on guys that we know we can trust for the long haul. So that's something I'm working on. Setting expectations that like the first month or so, we're going to have a lot of turnover until we find the right guys for the team.
Yeah, which I think something we haven't had to deal with on the core business. Like we've had, over the years, 1 or 2 people haven't worked out on the outreach side, but most people we've been able to help get up to speed. On this side, it seems like people who do design are a little bit more of a different personality type than we're used to.
They're artists, man. They're not business people.
So yeah, it's been pretty exhausting, but it's been really cool to see some of the designs, and they're going to be amazing to build links to because they're really beautiful stuff. So I'm excited but exhausted.
One thing I've learned when putting teams together quickly and that need to start producing quickly is hiring is more about the personality traits than their skill sets. They just need like a core skill set, but you really want to look for the personality traits that show that they're reliable and responsible and
Absolutely,
and they're looking to put the work in and care about the details. That's really what I'm looking for when I hire, rather than this all-star, graphic designer or all-star writer.
I got to second the details part, because that's where loads of time gets sucked up when they haven't followed the brief to the letter. So when it goes to the client round of review, you get back all these really niggly little feedback points that they should have picked up the first time, and then that sucks up the project manager's time dealing with that feedback, getting it changed, then checking it's been done. And then if they miss one of them on the revisions, that's even more annoying because the project manager has to send it back again. So even if they're a genius and the work in the end is amazing, if those little things are happening, it's really, really frustrating. So
right.
Attention to detail point is super amazing if you can get someone who's got that right.
So depending on the client, we might have like 4 to 6 documents for a single article, and that the contractor or the writer has to reference. So what we've been doing is kind of combining all that into one master checklist that they can just cross-reference their work against at the end before they deliver to us. And that's instantly like a hire fire moment. If you didn't cross-reference against this checklist that I made for you and given to you, you're pretty much done, because I can't deal with you if you can't bother checking your work. But
yeah, that's a good idea.
It's the pains of a service business, I think.
Yeah, we just gave Dave a big promotion. I don't know what we actually gave him for a title, but he's our new chief operating manager officer guy, and
cool.
Implementing all these new checklists and operating procedures, and it's just amazing.
I think we just call him the enforcer.
Yeah, it's just amazing sometimes how things aren't getting done because people don't have a list to stick to for one task, and it costs you money.
Yeah. Chris got a promotion also, and he's doing much better with the higher level stuff, with more management tasks, getting him out of actually writing or, just the grunt work stuff. So he's happy, and it's definitely motivating for him to take on more responsibility, and he's definitely taking the reins on it.
That's cool. Good to hear.
Yeah. So it looks like our 24 hours of SEO segments are coming out.
Yep, Garrett has encoded loads. I owe everyone an apology because I had an accidental nap in my chair for half an hour before the show. They're not on the 24 hours of SEO website. They are on YouTube. So if you go to our channel on YouTube, you can watch them. If you pop your name and email, if you haven't already, on 24 the number hoursofseo.com, they will be going up after the show. The ones that have gone up so far, we've got about 4 or 5 done, I think. But whatever we've got will be up, including the slide decks. So you can watch now on YouTube the first few episodes and just grab the slide decks later when they go up this afternoon.
Yep, and then there's 3 up there, and then I encoded 5 or 6 Tuesday night, and I forgot to upload them last night. So I'll upload the other 5 or 6 tonight when I leave the office, and they'll be there.
There you go. So same thing will happen again. They'll be on YouTube, and within a few days with the slide decks on the 24 hours of SEO.com. So just register and you'll get the link for those as soon as they go up.
All right. Let's jump into the news here. Who put up the Apple credit card post?
Probably me.
Probably.
I could have guessed.
What's
I don't know.
Piece of shit.
I just thought it was interesting from a marketing perspective because it's clearly in the scheme of the US market not that great a card. I just wondered what you guys thought in terms of whether you could see your friends who are Apple users and things like that grabbing it anyway, even though you've never been able to convince them to get a travel credit card and get some points that are worth 3, 4, 5% cash back. They'll grab this bad boy for 1% back and 2% back with Apple or whatever it is without thinking. I just wondered how it'll fit.
It's interesting. I mean, you get 3% back at Apple, which isn't great. And I mean, how much stuff are you buying at Apple to actually make that worthwhile? And then 2% when you use Apple Pay with your Apple card, but I guess you'd have to be, I don't use any of that stuff, so that's useless to me and most people I know, because I don't know a lot of people that actually use Apple Pay. And then at the end of the day, you're really only getting 1% cash back. And there's a lot better just cash back cards than that. So,
well, the Apple still has that giant base of instant adopters to anything that they do. So you know that they're going to make some money on it just from those people. Personally, I don't really use any Apple products. The only thing I ever owned was an iPhone, but I'm on big Samsung Galaxy Android kick now. So for me, it's a no-go. But I'm sure the Apple fanatics will use it just because.
Yeah, my prediction is this kind of it was kind of part of the reason I put it up was it reminded me of what we were speaking about the other week when we were talking about the white label coupon sites. Like Apple feels like one of those papers now, just for exactly the reason Vin was saying. They can tack on other semi-related businesses and their core audience. They can just benefit from the authority and I imagine it'll rank at some point for some cashback credit card related terms. Apple Pay cashback, obviously it'll rank for eventually once they've got all their content up. It's going to be something that they can bolt on and just become huge immediately because it's part of Apple. And I think it's one of the areas where online marketing generally and capitalism struggles is when big entities can just launch things that are crap and they automatically dominate parts of the market or become really big. Whereas capitalism has historically worked amazingly while we've been discovering new things and growing things. It seems to be, especially in the Google world, where newspaper sites can become top coupon sites and destroy a Google-funded startup coupon site.
Yeah.
Just reporting the data. It seems like there's some faults with how everything in the market's working at the minute. So I just thought this would be a really interesting one to watch over the next few months and see how they market it, how the growth works, how big it becomes, because it's a very mediocre product in the US credit card market. So if it can be really successful, then it shows some of the power that the Apple brand has got now compared with much better products and banks like Chase that are spending a fortune on affiliates to push their cards, which are much stronger than us, and American Express too. But I'm using Chase as the example because they were the ones that really went crazy with the level they were paying to affiliates and how aggressive they were being in the market. They were huge growth on the back of that, of course. Just be interesting to see how this branded play works with as far as I can tell, pretty poor card for the US credit card market. Like Garrett said, where's the real benefit in 1% when you can get much higher than that? Isn't there an Amazon card where you can get like 5% on Amazon purchases for you guys or something?
Maybe. That kind of shit I just stay away from.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll stop boring you guys now. Keep an eye on it over the next few months. I think that story will become more interesting as it develops.
So what's going on with this stuff at Pinterest? They got de-indexed for something or what?
Well, no, they've just been gone like Vinto.
Yeah, and their IPO filing, they had a whole section of how they I guess how they operate with search engines as part of their traffic growth strategy, and they clearly are trying to put a lower emphasis on organic search traffic and put more marketing dollars towards paid advertising and social, mainly because they've experienced complete de-indexing of their keyword target pages in the past, and it's kind of killed their growth strategy before they even got started. So it's kind of telling, I think. You know, if in your IPO you say I don't want anything to do with search engines, I think that should ring some alarm bells.
Well, yeah, and they say we may not be able to revise our strategy to get any of this traffic back. I mean, it was particularly interesting to me because I think there's an element of marketers ruin everything, that old saying in this, because we spoke ages ago on the show about a Pinterest-related story where someone had found a way to get things to rank on Google through Pinterest,
right,
and we're taking advantage of that to get traffic to their site and make their Pinterest content do better and things like that. And so I'm guessing a lot of their initial growth was a lot of aggressive marketers taking advantage of the fact that Pinterest was performing well on Google. And I guess from Google's perspective, if people are looking for products, ideas, and image ideas, although Pinterest was objectively better at the time, they would still prefer people not to be using Pinterest for that if they could be using Google. So from Google's perspective, it makes sense to not let the marketers get away with it. And obviously Pinterest at the time had no motivation to stop anyone, because who cares if people were using it to market stuff? That's part of what social media is used for. So there were kind of conflicting objectives, but obviously Google can just turn the tap off whenever they feel like, which is what
I think that the real benefit from Pinterest in regards to ranking on Google kind of dried up a long time ago when they killed their do follow links, and they killed the the link sculpting that you could do in Pinterest. And I don't even think you can use direct affiliate links anymore on Pinterest.
Well, that was the more retro stuff than the more recent stuff. The more recent stuff was just literally driving direct traffic. Like, you couldn't rank your own page, so you were just using Pinterest as like a parasite page to get your content in front of people.
Yeah, but what I think Google hates about Pinterest is that it is a search engine in itself. I think it's an image search engine / social network. But if because me and Mike, we've been watching some of their webinars about like what how the changes in Pinterest that are coming up, and they're very much operating as an image search engine. So I could see that almost as Google sees that as a competitor to their image search. So I can see that being a reason why de-indexations occur. But yeah, people are still killing it just from Pinterest's internal user base alone.
Oh yeah, I think it'll be a powerful platform for people with visual products for a long time. Seems, I mean, just when you think about from the user's perspective, it's images that brands that people are interested in and users of products that people are interested in have curated and chosen to share. And so even the spammiest random stuff that the most incompetent social media intern at the least clued up brand puts up on Pinterest are still going to be more relevant pictures than currently Google's image search is. I say relevant, interesting, I suppose is a better word, than Google's image search is able to return. Like if you type in, something like, I don't know, gorilla pattern handbag or something onto Google, you're going to get a lot of the same image, a few things that have happened to be SEO'd for that kind of thing. I mean, I haven't done it for that particular search term, but I did a bunch. I did a bunch for loads of fashion accessory type stuff back when people were talking about this originally, and you see the results on Pinterest are things that people might want to scroll, whereas Google, they're the kind of results people might want if they just wanted to steal someone else's image quickly, and they weren't really, oh, this is interesting, let me scroll these and see what other crazy designs people have got. Pinterest was a lot more scrollable if people were looking for those kind of things. So they've got a definite advantage over Google image search for their intended use. Yeah. So you can see why Google is, like you say, not massively excited about them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I also laughed at Chris Dyson's comment on this tweet. He suggests that Pinterest needs more EAT or EAT, whatever you want to call it.
Legendary UK SEO Chris Dyson weighing in.
Cool. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Pinterest and Google interact. I think it's a bit of a unique situation, but I do think it's telling that they have this paragraph in their actual IPO documents. Just something to keep in the back of your mind as an SEO.
Yep.
Yeah, they're looking for a new SEO agency. So if you're a big enterprise agency, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think we know a few of those.
Yes.
Yeah, they can buy us out for a few million. I wouldn't mind.
We just need somebody that offers sequencing.
Yeah, fucking bastard.
All right, so the next two posts are about the core update and what
I saw Barry had he had a poll up and was collecting data. The first question he would ask people was, how were you impacted by the update around 3/12, March 12th of 2019? And 58% people said negative, a third of people said positive, 9% said neutral, which led to his next question, which the answers don't make any sense. Did you recover from a previous core update? So remember, about 60% of people just said they had a negative impact on the 12th, but those same people, 56% of people said, yes, we had some sort of recovery. So it doesn't really follow that this data is good, and Barry kind of highlights that it doesn't kind of make sense. So I guess notable, 32% of people that were impacted the most were in the health space, 20% were in general content, which is kind of what the idea was.
Yeah. My site is both a content site and a directory site, so that accounts for about 27% of the sites that were affected. Did you guys took a traffic hit, right?
We went level for.
We're flat.
Yeah. I took about between 26 and 31% pullback in traffic.
Really?
What happened is all the good money keywords that were on the first page, they all pulled back about 6 or 7 spots, and then we saw a ranking increase for some less competitive and lower search volume money keywords that actually moved up to the first page, but obviously lower search volume, so we took a traffic hit. So I'm not going to do anything other than just business as usual. Just keep on building content, improving on content.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I think when you get hit less than 20 to 30% on these things, you just think, well, that's 3 months of growth and I'll be back where I was again. Whereas I think when you get hit 80-85%, and then you're more in a position where you have to react to it and do something.
Yeah.
I think 20%, 30% fluctuations, I mean, they can happen in some stages of growing a site, even when there isn't a big update.
Yeah,
there can just be some flux. So I mean,
my experience with what Google calls core updates now, core algorithm updates, is that there's about that percentage fluctuation either way. So in the past, I've just not done anything because to me it just seems like kind of like a pullback in the market. You know, it happens, and it's an ebb and flow of traffic. And if you start changing your core strategy, I think you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
But the My Traffic research, I guess, case study was much more in depth, and instead of making, I guess, statements about what you should do to recover or change, he kind of just looked at specific websites that took hits or received massive gains for different ranking factors. So you guys definitely have to look at this. It's a huge post here, probably around 5,000 words. But it looks like the consensus is user experience. All the changes were based around indirect ranking factors rather than the traditional ranking factors like site speed, links, on-site optimization. It took all that into account and then applied another filter on top of it, which kind of contained the indirect ranking factors like user experience. So that was my big takeaway from my traffic research study.
Yeah, I thought the interesting thing was the part when he's talking about the keywords, and he's talking about how he can conclude from the fact that some sites were going up, but their number of keywords are staying the same. Their total number of keywords they actually rank for are staying the same. I guess Vin's site probably ranks for the same number of keywords. He just saw which ones are ranking changed. Yeah. He believes Google didn't make any changes to their neuro-linguistic engine, so it still thinks the same words and queries were meaning the same thing. It's just changed the rankings within certain keywords or certain other factors. So that was kind of an interesting.
Well, tied to that, he also saw a decrease in the usage of exact match keywords in the body content of the site. So about, I think it was like a 5% decrease compared to before. So that's telling also that Google's getting better at identifying the keyword through the topic rather than just the keyword itself. So that speaks more to this topic cluster model that everybody's been using over the past year or so, and more towards that I guess you want to call it machine learning or AI and NLP usage, but I don't know. It's not conclusive. It could just be a small smidgen of what was changed.
Right.
I mean, it kind of ties in, like the finding that there's what you were just mentioning around, some over-optimized pages that had too many of the, or more, I should say, rather than too many, since we don't have an amount. More exact match keywords on the page have been dialed down a bit. Google's taking that less seriously. It was kind of similar to what Aaron Wall found when he was looking at the links and things like that. He saw some evidence that it related to over-optimization there as well. They've dialed that back the power of a little bit.
Right.
So that's a couple of different studies looking at different parts of the change. We're seeing over-optimization potentially being something that can cause you to have a slight pullback.
Speaking of over-optimization, has anybody actually defined what over-optimization is? Like,
I think it's
a buzzword for sure, but nobody's said, hey, if you're over-optimization is when you do this, and I don't think there's like a clear answer to that.
Well, it's just a constantly moving cliff where, like, the perfect page on a topic would be a page that you would write if you were trying to write the best possible encyclopedia page on that topic in the existence of no Google. And in the past, the cliff was way over here somewhere, and you could your perfectly optimized page in terms of rankings might have bold, italic, and underline on. The keyword would be on there 5 times. 17 semantically related keywords would be stuffed in every other sentence, randomly bolding some of those as well. And that page looks pretty stupid. In today's market, that wouldn't do very well necessarily.
Yeah.
In some local spaces, particularly legal, you can still get away with some pretty bad pages like that. I've seen some in the wild ranking still. But the cliff's just being eroded by Google as it tries to push us towards having links that look natural and diverse, having pages that look natural and diverse, that if people looked at them and thought, would these people be linking to this thing? Does it make sense to their readers that link would be there? Like, is that a natural link? Does it make sense that this page has this stuff on it? That just changes constantly over time. So I don't think it's ever going to be a case that we can say over-optimization is 2.1% keyword density and above. It might be today. You might be safe below that level, but if the perfect page that all the machine learning they do, all the data points they have, if the perfect page is trending away from that and is something different, that might change over time as well. And I think the perfect example was that article. I don't know if we shared it on the show, but we just definitely discussed it in the chat. We might have shared it on the show about the AI tools that optimize your content, and a lot of people that were using one of those tools all got hit during this core update, and all it was doing was trying to optimize your page compared with the other top 10 and make you put the same keywords on it.
You have evidence that those pages got hit?
There was a study about that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I definitely want to see that.
Yeah, someone shared the link somewhere on a chat. I'll try and find it. If I can find it, I'll put it on next week's show notes. But there was some evidence, and that's a case of over optimizing as well, getting hit, because it's kind of a nonsense that that's the perfect page. The perfect page is somewhere over here that doesn't exist, and Google is this eroding the cliff, trying to push us towards that. But you can't discover the perfect page by copying the current 10 best spammers. I mean, sorry, 10 best rankers, and copying what they've done.
What I think is going to happen in regards to on-site optimization is we're going to move away from best practices completely. So you're not going to have these gurus that have, you know, the ultimate guide to on-site optimization, because it's no longer going to be a blanket optimization that you can apply to every page or every website.
They're not going away though. What are you going to do? Shoot?
They're going to be there. It's just not going to be as effective. So what I think it's going to be is, you know, people are going to have to build their content with the user experience in mind as, you know, the core focus of building this content, and then they're going to have to apply one of these correlation tools like Quora or Website Auditor on a search specific basis, and that's kind of where I see it's going. You know, you build your great content, and then you kind of use these correlation studies in regards to the various ranking factors to kind of tweak that content a little bit to better fit in with what's ranking. No, doesn't make sense.
No, it does. It does make sense. I think it's a lot of work compared with my idea, which is you just try and think about what the perfect page would be like to a person, because you have an intuitive sense of that inside you that doesn't need you to do correlation studies and I think when you look at a page, you have a really good feel for. I can't think how I would improve this page. Right. I read this and I think this is amazing. This is really, I'm enjoying reading it. It's giving me the information in a concise and clear way. I have things to click on to read further information. You have an intuitive sense of what the perfect page is, really, if you're honest with yourself. And I think a lot of people put up what they know not to be the perfect pages because they've done too much of this crunching things, and they think this manipulative change to their page will make it rank better. And in the short term, it probably will. But that's what I mean by the eroding cliff and the change. You know, bold, italic, and underlining everything used to work, and you damn better believe we did it all over the place. But that's over optimizing, and eventually Google will erode through that to where, and I don't know how long that eventually will be. I mean, they've come a long way in 5 years. The last 5 years have seen what they're able to eliminate as a low quality page improve massively. Eventually, over optimizing will be all kinds of silly little things where it works a bit now because there's a gap, but there really shouldn't be. There shouldn't be pages up there that have weird things on them, whatever that weird thing is, that are suboptimal towards the objective of creating the perfect page. I think there will be a time when we just think about creating the perfect page for the recipient of that page, whoever that is, rather than analyzing what we think Google's doing, because they'll have just got better and better at understanding what they're supposed to deliver on in that regard.
Yeah, no,
we're still a good way away from that.
I think if the goal from the start is building the perfect page, you're probably going to check a lot of the boxes that tool would have told you to do anyway. My point was that you build the perfect page first, and then you use that tool to kind of fine tune a little bit. Whereas people now are just kind of using the tool to tell them everything what to do, and they're not using their brains for anything.
They download a keyword from Python, and then they get the page written up. And in terms of the tool, it's perfect, but in terms of the end user, it might not even be well written. It just has the right words on it.
Yeah.
Well, it's like learning math or really anything when you're growing up in school. If you learn how to use the calculator before you know how to do long division, what happens when you need to learn something more advanced in SEO? You have no idea how to do long division. now you can't do calculus or something, and you really need to know calculus, and you know what I mean. It's I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's silly.
Cool. I mean, do you guys have any other points that you took away from here, or we?
No, that was the main thing I took away, was just another over optimization thing, because it seems to be a recurring trend on articles about this.
There's a Glenn Gabe study too that we didn't get into. I'm just going to share that in the chat if anybody wants to read it. But I didn't even get to read it myself yet either.
No, I haven't read that one.
Cool.
So, do you guys think AHREFs the biggest business mistake of a lifetime, or the best?
So AHREFs, or the owner, what's his name, Dimitri, came out on Twitter this week and said that they're pretty close, or that he was beating around the bush about them starting their own search engine that gives 90% of revenue to publishers. And you know, from the publisher side, that sounds awesome. From the user side, I don't know. Does that benefit the user?
It's not. And two, I don't see how they're going to compete with Google. And three, the way that we use search now, wouldn't you guys hope search is going to be changed very drastically in the next 5 years, the way we use it? And unless Dimitri and his team have a way of being ahead of the curve on that, I don't see how they're going to compete. And I think it's going to destroy the amount of resources they can put into their AHREFs tool. You know, not just money, but
I don't know. I'm not
vision.
I'm not questioning him again. I sent them an email once saying I was annoyed with them for adding all these Moz-like features, and they were never going to beat Moz with all this other stuff. Just stick to what they were good at, links. And his team sent me an email telling me I was stupid and they were going to crush Moz. So after proving me wrong once, I'm gonna not be too negative on this. I mean, my only comment is obviously they have a bigger index now than Bing. They're second only to Google in how much of the web they've got indexed. So
yeah,
they definitely have the data to make the second best search engine off the bat without really killing themselves. It's not like they've got to go and crawl an extra 700 times the current size of their index. Their index is bigger than Bing's. They're in a position where they or allegedly bigger than Bing's, I should say, I guess, since we only have both company statements on what they've got to,
But this is just a small piece of the puzzle, and you might argue it's the easiest piece of the puzzle to accomplish because you're just throwing money and resources at crawling. To a degree.
It just kind of seems like because they have all the data already that it's to them it seems logical that they can just kind of open up a search engine because it's so 80% of the way done. They just need the user interface. But yeah, I think the user adoption portion of this is the biggest unknown for them. But we shall see.
Jeff's just asking how they're going to make money. I mean, there are examples of other search engines, and one money source they all have is API access. They're often cheaper than Google, and they sell, if you want search data, they can be really good sources. It was a don't tweet this on a previous show, so you have to go back and watch all of our early shows to actually find out which one I'm talking about. But they'll almost certainly sell access to the data through their API and massively increase their API subscriptions when actual search data is available through there, because people have uses for it.
Yeah, and they would definitely have ad revenue too. I mean, that's going to go.
Even DuckDuckGo's managed to make enough money from ads to fund their efforts, and they're really, really light on how much advertising they'll allow, and they still make enough to run the search engine. So I think AHREFs will definitely make something profitable for themselves. But like everyone else has said, it's likely to be a DuckDuckGo sized profitable, not the next Bing or something. But maybe they have got some idea for what they're going to do next, which is going to be revolutionary.
I mean, I think a percentage-based payout to publishers is smart because it'll scale with their project, and also it's got a built-in filter. Like the users are the ones that are going to tell the search engine what content they like the best, and those that content is the one that's going to make the most money. So I think it's appealing. Let's we just got to see if they can execute in the correct way.
I mean, Jeff asks, why is anyone going to use it?
From the searchers, that's what the problem is.
Yeah.
they have to get massive adoption, which is, I think, what DuckDuckGo is. That's a challenge they're facing, and I think AHREFs would face the same challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like DuckDuckGo has kind of captured their core market. Every time there's a privacy story that breaks about Facebook, Google, and all those, they receive growth. I think they know what their core market is, and they pander to it, and that's what's allowing them to grow. AHREFs needs to figure out what their search engine's good for and who to market it to, because just launching a search engine isn't going to get you any customers these days. There's already plenty of choice.
Well, cool. I mean, looks like we're running short on time here. You guys want to got any other important articles here?
Well, I mean, you guys saw the legislation that passed in the EU yesterday or Tuesday, right?
I did not. I didn't get to read this article yet.
Well,
it's just
fucking that stupid shit. For people that don't know, I think we talked about it a while ago when they were proposing it. Copyright type stuff where it was kind of aimed at punishing people like Google for stealing content and displaying it as rich snippets. Say, scraped someone's site, stole the data, and they'd have to pay some sort of royalty. But it just makes the legislation that was passed makes absolutely no sense. They have no way to enforce it. It's a disaster.
It's complete lunacy. But don't worry, they've excluded the important things from the legislation. Memes will be excluded. Actual businesses, news sites, researchers, technology companies, the people that are actually making money are all going to be completely fucked. But if you want to post a meme, they've taken the important feedback that the public gave them about this and really taken it on board, as the EU generally does. So it's just going to be a complete mess. It's becoming insane living within the European.
A guy that I talked to, I won't mention his name. I don't know if he wants to stay private or not, but he was pretty much said this is just going to be a way for the VPN market to explode even more now and further push the internet into the realms of how I don't know how to board it. I wish I could remember exactly the way he said it, but why this is just so stupid. It's such a stupid. It's worse than what happened last time. GDPR type shit. This is even worse and more poorly organized and just a mess. I can't even put it into words.
Yeah. I don't know what, like Steve said, I just don't know how they enforce this, so I don't know how concerned to be, because it just seems like old men that don't really understand the internet are making rules about the internet that they don't understand on top of that. So it just seems like they're a bag of hot air, and they're going to say what they're going to say.
Nigel Farage may not be everyone's favorite chap, but he was very on point when he described the members of the European Parliament as a bunch of leeches that have never had a real job in their lives. And they're the people that are making these wonderful decisions for us now. It's just insanity.
Yeah.
Just insanity. We thought this had been blocked, but they just kind of sneaked it back through on a second attempt. Conveniently right before they dissolve for the next round of European parliamentary elections as well. So to avoid any risk that, the voting public is going to return a very different European Parliament than the people that are currently sitting. And this would have almost certainly not made it through after the summer. So like the departing emperor, George Bush, firing those final cruise missiles at Saddam Hussein before he stepped aside for Bill Clinton, the falling emperors here in the European Union have fired this beautiful cruise missile at the online world.
Yeah.
Thank you, losers.
All right. And I think we'll wrap up with your rant of the week here, Steve.
Let me just pull it up. I forget what I selected this week. There were so many juicy memes on the Randfish.
Speaking at conferences is how Rand apparently learned SEO.
Oh yeah. He says someone's saying that speaking at conferences is a massive waste of time for most businesses. Seems cool when you're young, blah blah blah. Rand says, wow, this is the precise opposite of my experience. Speaking at conferences literally, measurably, and publicly built my career and hundreds of others in the marketing and tech world. Weird. And I took this as an admission of what we all know about Rand. He has no practitioner chops. He's presided over multiple failed businesses. His biggest success is a book about how to be a failure. And the only reason he's known is because he's a good speaker and he's good at marketing himself. And that's the problem with this exact thing. The people who are successful from speaking at conferences are exactly the people we shouldn't be listening to. And the people who are really good and give really dry analytical presentations at conferences that are actually super valuable, they never become superstars of the conference speaking tour. People like Rand become famous, who have done wonderful things for their own brand by speaking at conferences, but I would argue have done damage to lots of people and not been, and at best, not been very helpful. And possibly aren't very good at much.
Yeah.
And yet has been very, very successful just because of it. So I would say it's exactly the problem with speaking at conferences. We end up with the people we don't really want to hear and don't really give us any value. And people like Brian Kimmel, who found it to be useless, were probably actually good and sharing good value, but that's not what people are looking for.
I agree. But we can you guys got another, what's the next conference you're going to?
Yeah, Minnesota. Yeah,
Minnesota.
Yeah. Then Barcelona for
Affiliate
World Europe. Then
September
Brighton SEO. Then October for PubCon.
Cool.
Vegas.
Well, you guys got the Kevin Indig lecture at MN Search. He's become the master of internal linking these days, so yeah, that might be a good one.
I have his article from last December on my desk right now. Kind of been trying to figure out how to calculate page rank for yourself roughly and how you can apply chai rank to it. I think Vin's the one that shared that article originally.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, he's got super cool stuff, so definitely gonna check him out.
I think that wraps us up for the week, huh?
Yep.
Cool. I'm really liking the midday show.
Yeah,
yes.
It's concise. We get more action in our chat. I get more feedback about it. It's been pretty good.
Yeah, I think we'll stick to this time. I'll try and actually get some sleep at night before the next show. We'll start on time. I look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Awesome, guys. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Definitely subscribe. Come on, guys. See you next week.
All right, see ya.
Bye.